Hello, Christy with Kristen Writer Photography here, and today we are going to be taking a look at this image. It was requested to see if we can tone down some of those highlights that you see on her face and maybe a little on the shoulder. So we're going to see what we can do here. So I have not previously edited this image, excuse me, and I have it opened up in my, oh, I am so sorry, excuse me, the Canon RAW, and we're gonna see what all we can get done here. So if I drag it down, you can see that there's really no data here in her hair. So I want to balance that. But the good news is those other highlight spots, like in the shoulder and the nose, there is plenty of data there for the image. So I'm going to drag this so that the blown out spots kind of blend in a little on her hair. And then what I'm going to do is go in with my adjustment brush. And I'm going to make it pretty soft. Sorry, I'm used to using Lightroom. And then we're going to zoom in pretty close here, so that we can see what we're doing. So I'm obviously going to have to touch this up, but I want to make sure I get the highlight parts that are actually blown out. So and I can always come back in and fix this up a little, but I want to make it so that it matches her skin as best as possible, because what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to pull it into Photoshop and I'm actually going to smooth over the skin. So give me 1 second while I run these adjustments. All right. And then now that I got cleaned up a little, it looks like it's a little dark around some of these edges, and I don't really want to delete too much more, so I'm gonna just decrease the flow a little. And that was still too much. And this doesn't have to be perfect, it's just more important that I get the main area touched up. So now we can zoom out a little. And that looks pretty horrid, but bear with me. Alright. So that looks okay. Alright, and so the reason I did that, I duplicated the adjustments, was I want to have the same thing going on for that spot on her forehead. So I am on delete already, so I'm actually going to completely get rid of that. And then I'm going to bring our flow back up, and I'm going to go to add, and zoom back in. So I'm not worried about like the overflow. What I want to do here is just get that center piece, which her forehead's going to be a lot easier. And actually, I might not even need this, so we can delete that. Yeah, that I'll be able to do in regular Photoshop pretty easily. The nose is hard because there's a lot of texture there, so we want to get it as close as possible. And then we're going to go back here and get the white balance fixed on her skin. See how she's not so blue anymore? Oops. Alright, so we're already getting there. You can see on the face, excuse me, that that's already looking much better. And I know we have a triangle here, and that's totally fine because the rest we are going to do in Photoshop. I think that's really all I needed to do in RAW. Maybe. Right, but I think that looks good. So we're going to go ahead and open that up. Oops, wrong button. And I'm clicking all the wrong stuff today, and that's okay. So now we're going to adjust kind of those spots here. And I'm kind of actually okay with the sun-kissed spot on her shoulder. Alright, so yeah, that was a pretty easy cleanup. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot here just to make sure that I can revert back if need be. A few of these other blemishes. Alright, now we're going to tackle the nose because that's where that bright spot was kind of a wreck. And basically what we want to do is kind of like blend these edges. And actually, what do I want to do there? I'm going to go back. And flatten. Because I did those other blemishes, I'm going to start on a fresh layer here because I'm probably going to have to decrease the opacity with what I am doing here. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So, I mean, there's always going to be like that highlight there, but it's not as bright as it was. But we do have a little bit here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, use my stamp. Basically, we want to keep that line, but I just want to get rid of that real highlighted line. Oops, that was a bad selection. Alright, so go there. So that's what we started with after the raw. And that's where we're finishing here. So then what I would do is I'm going to run portraiture over her face to get that smooth out, and then we're going to match the tones. Even rub a little on her hand here. So another way we could have probably tackled that is using frequency separation, but this for me honestly was a little easier. Sometimes it is hard, at least for me, to get frequency separation to work. All right. So we have all that smoothed over, and this is probably a little much, so we can back that off. And even so, you can still go in and clean some of this up. Just those little blemishes that no senior girl wants in any of her photos. I can't say I blame her because I literally get rid of all those off mine too. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright. So, really the only thing that was requested of this image was the highlights. And I am going to leave the one on the shoulder. I actually kind of like it. It gives that sun-kissed. Now, if this were my image, I'm going to go back in, and I don't really do the whole orange skin thing. So I'm going to tone that down slightly. And some photographers love that very warm look. But I don't like it when it gets orange for me. So I'm okay with like her hand, that looks really good, but I think this is a little too blue. So I'm just going to brush that off with a low opacity brush. And there we go. So now we can tell she's not like blue, she's still got her sun kiss. And now her face isn't quite as tan just because of where the shadow was and the light's coming in. So we're going to correct that too. So I'm not sure how high we'll have to go. So we're going to go here, and then it's going to look pretty extreme, but we'll back it off. So I'm just going to brush it onto her face, and actually it's not even looking that extreme. I mean, there's a little that I'm probably going to back off. Oh, that's because my brush isn't up all the way. Just amateur hour over here. That would be why. That is more what I expected that to look like. So, one of the things for sure, we don't want any of this on her eyes. Because she has beautiful blue eyes, and we're going to leave those as blue as we can get them. Alright, so she's like a glowing pumpkin right now, but that's what I expected that to look like. And we're going to actually tidy up some of these lines here around her jaw. . Alright, so that looks about what I expected. But when we bring it down and balance, you know, looking for like skin tones compared to her hand and her shoulder, she is pretty tan, and it is summer, so most girls are, anyone that spends a decent amount of time outside. So that looks pretty good. And then, if this were me, I'm going to go and actually brush off some of these where she's kind of like glowing a little more orange. So see how she's blue before and now she matches. So I would probably call that good. You could go in even further if you wanted to. We could hit up our blues. And I'm going to do crazy. Just so I can see where I am coloring. Oops. There we go. And I'm barely brushing on again. Alright, so obviously that is extreme, so we don't want that much. And then yeah, I would probably leave that like that. That looks good.